What does a song weigh? Asks Carlos Drummond de Andrade, the most revered Brazilian poet of the 20th century. What do vision and experience weigh? It is all about what is more, what is extra in our lives and our memories. It is that complexity which is neither created nor chosen, but discovered, pre-existing within the artist. This pre-existing potential more, these extras, nurture our curiosity, encourage our intuitive knowledge, lead to discursive knowledge in a philosophic sense, make for awareness, and inspire creativity. What then does a poem weigh? What does an image weigh? How do we weigh and perceive art in contemporary society? Do we perceive it in a poetic and a social and or political context? Is there a difference between political or artistic responsibility? There are, however, different interpretations of the term political, particularly in regards to art. I am inclined to use the term in its original Greek meaning of polis, which stands for city or state pertaining to a group of people, a community, a society in which the individual becomes an active and responsible part. As an artist, I am an active member of this society, and through my work, the reflective and creative engagement, through the artistic, spiritual, content-related activity embedded in the here and now, revealed and represented by the work itself, I take a political stance in a poetic, sublimated way, transcending the politics of the day. The poetic metamorphosis of the artist's work turns to the dream, to imagination, to the unknown, to the world of abstraction. These artistic issues likewise become political issues in their contemporaneity, translated into image, yet not necessarily and self-evidently as an exclusively descriptive or narrative expression, but as expressed attitude, as Dionysian lucidity, transformed in the energy of line, rhythm, space, and color. Images do not capture particular moments, nor do they comment on the absence of what is represented, but rather show the presence of what has been felt as the presence of awareness. Images are projections of emotion and sensation. They represent our thoughts and feelings and give us an idea of the perceived and imagined world. They entail the disciplines of nothingness and the leaves of the shamans. They are collected paths and clearings, the jungle of the city and the endless expanse and the confines of the skull. They form the space between eye and hand, represent the body between sleep and sleep. Our work is based on reason and passion, which expresses themselves in imaginative energy and intuitive intelligence, both playing an essential part in the creative act of perceiving reality. And as the creative act needs both preserving strength and the emotional freedom of the imagination, these qualities cross and overlap each other in their absoluteness. They weave a constantly changing fabric, and it is from this fabric that the work finally evolves. It is this magic fabric, to say it with Lebo's words, that keep us wild, feral, and intelligent, naughty and benevolent. Every work of art, every poem, establishes between itself and its given reality an essential space between, which stands for what remains unsaid. It is an expression of veiling and unveiling, of simultaneously eluding, yet never fully exposing, focusing on attention and consciousness. Can you fill the space between the leaves with words that resemble the wind, which makes them quiver and bend and dance and return? Flip the sounds and the here and now, lift them, draw the line of the voices that whisper and scream, take their troubled stories, tell them with orange and crimson and other silences. In our many conversations, we have flipped the words and their meanings. We have begun to undo their boundaries, have enabled ideas to converse and establish a poetic energy between the word as image and the image as language. We become aware, as Pitika has so sensitively remarked, of the other side of things, the essential other as the unknown, the unconventional, the foreign, a reflection on sameness and difference. We have embarked upon a journey which has barely begun, yet has led to meet us here today to exchange the gifts of our work and to realize what Simonides of Chaos, the great lyric poet, understood when he wrote, "The poem is a speaking image, and the image should be silent poetry." I'm delighted to welcome Lebogang Mashile and Pitika Ntuli to this stage, where the poems may now unfold their speaking images, performed in the beautiful South African tradition of the spoken word, the true heartbeat of your nation, bearing in mind yet another remarkable poet's awareness, namely that of Emily Dickinson's, which may read like an instruction for every one of us at any time. Much madness is divinest sense to a discerning eye. Please welcome Lebogang Mashile and Pitika Ntuli.
Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure and an honor and a delight to welcome you and to be a part of this community in these surroundings. I don't think I've ever performed in a place that's as picturesque. I'm imagining these words flying into the land. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the first poet that you'll be hearing this evening, Maisha Jenkins. Maisha has recently published her second anthology of poetry. Originally from California in the United States, she has been living and working in South Africa for the past 18 years. And prior to that, Maisha spent many years as an activist, working around many issues, but with a particular passion for South Africa, for women, with a deep sense of justice that permeates her poetry. She's recently come back from Poetry Africa, one of the premier poetry festivals in South Africa. And it gives me great pleasure to ask you, please, to give a warm welcome to Maisha Jenkins.
Hello. Imagine that it's a little later and you're on your way home from this amazing experience, but it's night. And all of a sudden, the police come up behind you. This is a true story. Women are out in the night. We are cleaning streets. Some are walking streets. Coming home from work. Others are working. Answering a call. Rushing to the hospital. To bail someone out of jail. Getting the forgotten loaf of bread, rushing from here to there, going to hang with the girls, enjoying the freedom of the nightclub, relaxing from a hard day of taking orders, sunny side up by tomorrow. In stilettos, dressed to kill, with glistening lips, begging for kisses. And then again, some of us are alone in the night, actually enjoying the moon. What are you doing out so late, Ma? Being a woman, officer. Being a woman. And I just have one little poem from my book, and this space makes it so beautiful for me, so I have to say this poem. Who I was is not who I am, and who I am is not who I will be. Some bits falling off, other parts sprouting. Inside of this cocoon, I dream of flight.
Thank you. Major Jenkins, please give her a hand, please. So nice when you hear a very good, powerful voice caressing the air winds here at Nirox. Let me join the chorus of saying thank you very much to Benji and to Putuma for setting it up. The next poet is also a playwright. It is Maishe Maponya, who's going to read a poem by somebody who should have been here, but unfortunately is in the Northern Cape, none other than Don Matera. On your marks, Onyx. And also would like to express some regrets of some people who said we should specifically tender their apologies. Justice Pius Langa was supposed to come in here, was caught ill. Yvonne Chaga was admitted to hospital and released yesterday. They all wanted to share, time with you here. Let's think of them. Maishe Maponya.
When the first sun rose, it found us awake and waiting. Long before they came to these hills, our footsteps shaped the landscape, tamed the buffalo and the gemsbok. We rode the wind, we silenced the hurricane. Yes, look at us. We have been here before. We raised temples on the shifting desert sands of Mali. We left footprints in Timbuktu. Our women bathed in milk and honey, covered their Nubian bodies with myrrh and gold and copper dust. Long, long before they came to our shores, we have been here before. We hung on the Horn of Africa. We walked through the red sands of Somalia, and from the purple hills of Gondar and near Ethiopia, our voices echoed across the valleys to the perennial pyramids. Ah, the pyramids. Those ancient, glorious symbols of African civilization. These hands, our creative hands, dark and lovely as the first dawn. Yes, these once shackled hands cut the stone that built the pyramids. We have been here before. We washed our wounds in the Nile. We danced in the streets of Egypt. We slept under the wings of the scarab. We made love to Nefertiti. Yes, look at us now. We have been here before. Our eyes were stuck black stars, raging in the night tempests of rebellion ancient as life. Long before the snake came to our children in the garden, we looked at God and we saw our image in his eyes. We have been here before.
Thank you. The next poet is also a playwright, an actress, an educator, a script writer, a published author of 2 poetry books. It gives me enormous pleasure to invite to the stage Philippa de Villiers. Thank you. Anthem. Words sketch images on the air, voice sets them on fire. I watch traditions foot stamping, dancing themselves back to divinity, singing that old song that we all know as freedom. And a heavy flood bursts through the chambers of my heart, bright, red, vital. I am alive. My heart as big as this fist, and I as little as this finger. We are all connected, the living and the dead. We arrive in life and then it walks away from us, leaving our bones behind as our minds are as wide as the universe. Human evolution began in this corner of the earth. Our ancestors left their dust as chromosomes. In each of us, they built a home, and hominids stood up as humans and walked. Languages fell out of our mouths and talked, walked their way into and out of landscapes, mindscapes. We walk in words, creating as we need, then we stand, shadow thin, till we chase the horizon, disappearing until we appear again. Miracles exist. Victims become heroes. A man with no legs was the fastest runner in the world. A woman who cannot walk swam to golden glory. Our brains are two halves reflecting duality. A system of thinking in pairs of opposites, like a two-way street. Day, night, wrong, right, man, woman, black, white. Caster Semenya, the intersex athlete, is an invitation to consider the end of two-way thinking, a provocation asking us to refine our definition of what it means to be human or woman, a conundrum. We've landed in a hard land that we don't understand, but this is what the future looks like. We'll have to stretch our minds from a field to a forest, from a forest to an ocean, from an ocean to the universe to accommodate our infinite uniqueness. Miracles exist. We carve them out of our bodies. We hammer them out of stone and copper. We weave them out of desire. For what the world does not contain, our minds create a home as long as we are alive. Our hearts as big as this fist and our minds as little as this finger. We are all connected. And our minds are as wide as this universe. Thank you.
Wow. You know, there is something about words. Something about words. Our next poet is Napo. Napo, Napo with a bum. Napo, Napo with a bum.
Our hearts know in silence the secrets of the days and the night. There's enough space for all of us to shine. For me to take a stand. For you to make that first step. For him to finish his lines. For her to run the race. But for all of us to dance in flames with the stars. So do not shut your temple doors. For whatever you seek, seeks you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you want, wants you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you know, knows you. We are springs of fire, and our dreams lie in the soft arms of life. Sometimes we hear God coming without bells. Our ears thirst for the sound of our future, to know the words we've known in thought. And though at times our beauty is found in soul magazines, the trees and the flowers of the universe applaud us, making our voices to unlock windows of the sunset. We fetch pails of water from the springs to touch others with our gifts. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you seek, seeks you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you want, wants you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you know, knows you. Our truest being is safeguarded by light. And though at times our fears pause with time, others' words are made flesh to become lungs of inspiration, leading us to infinite streams of infinity, telling us in their musical breeze, Our hearts know in silence the secrets of the days and the nights. There's enough space for all of us to shine. For me to take a stand. For you to make that first step. For him to finish his lines. For her to run the race. But for all of us to dance in flames with the stars. So do not shut your temple doors. For whatever you seek, seeks you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you want, wants you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you know, knows you. There's enough space for all of us to shine. Thank you.
This is the moment then when you feel gremlins of hope crawl under the skin of poems to release verdant feelings of dreams still to be realized to celebrate women. Yes, labor will kiss you one by one to change the reality you see. You will dream poems in the basilicas of tomorrows of your new beginnings. Now I know where to find the elusive God. Listen between the words in the vibrant poems of Lebu, poems without language. Ask Oguno Shango, touch Yemaya to witness. If we look alike, I look like Escobar. Within the syncopated music of oneness in the exile, whose border encloses us within the womb of a new day, here at the edge where beginnings meet and where ends meet, where forgotten memories return, then we realize you and us are one. Medellin is the womb of our birth as we trace birthmarks of poems in the pregnant moments of possibilities for you, Lebu.
See gaps, steps steeped in insight, free flight, fright, break form, flow, fly, fall, crawl, creep, quietly feel fear.